This is a story that's been happening for a little bit, and how it has escalated has been one of the most interesting little transactions I've seen happen in the industry a while, where it resulted in some controversy and then ended up to a full anime series getting cancelled due to this. Now, we don't normally see this a lot of the time with a lot of animes. Like, at least nowadays, a lot of time you see, like, they'll be put on, like, indefinite hiatus. They like to not just full out cancel series at all. They will be like, no, we're going to be working on this due to contracts, due to a bunch of series and all that. And it's like, this is a big potential moneymaker. And this series has recently blown the fuck up because of some controversial stuff that the author has done, like with a couple of tweets that he's been saying, and also as well due to the content of this series. Now, this is the anime adaptation for a series known as Young Again in Another World. So you can already tell, like, that it's one of those things. It's an isekai series that everyone fucking like, the second I heard about this series, even in the fucking first place, it's like when you scan through, like, a bunch of sites and seeing, like, what's coming out seriously? And it's another isekai series, and rolling my eyes to the furthest of the back of my head, because I am so fucking sick of these shows. I am sick of every single one. Like, you get your rare occasional good ones, like you get your ReZeros and stuff like that, but it is so small and far between. I am so fucking done with these series. I just want them to fuck off at this point. But this is not about the genre itself. It's more to do about the creator of this series, and also as well kind of what this series is about. So to give an explanation about what this is about, by the way, you can find the whole the articles on on our Anime News Network, how this just implodes. It's a very interesting piece that was put together, where the original story of this character is a Japanese protagonist who has killed around about 3,000 people in the Second Sino-Japanese War, which was a conflict between China and Japan that ran from 1937 to 1945, and later on became a part of World War II. This guy ended up living till he was about 94, killing around about 2,000 other people through the course of his life, and for that he gets reborn as an 18-year-old man in another world. That's the general premise, where it's like, you're super useful, and it seems like from some of the stuff that I've read about, where it's like God pretty much goes to him and saying, we kind of need you, and his first reaction is like, no, I'm gonna beat up God. Is like, basically he's a fucking scout. Like, think of it, I think the closest thing is like Tanya of the Evil Saga. I hadn't actually watched the show, but I believe that's like kind of thing that goes on in that series as well, like where main character is a fucking evil person that gets reincarnated for the most part. However, that already, with just that premise already, it sounds horrible and stupid. It was the fact that the author himself and a lot of people got really kind of upset about the fact that they would either make an anime about like something like this, because again, all that, like, this is like someone who's killed thousands of Chinese people during a real world historical event, and some people were saying that 3,000 is a bit of exaggeration, you're pushing it, and it's like, and others is just like, well, who cares, it's a work of fiction, if he's got a story to tell, and let him tell a story. It was that. And then they started going through the guy's Twitter, and then it was like through mid 2010s, like I think it was like 2013 up to like 2016, I believe, where he started having some hate speech towards China. Now, to clarify this as well, before you think that, oh, this guy's like big shit, they do describe that he is a Chinese man of descent, but was raised in Japan, so I guess that may have he may have thought in his own mind that gives him some justified, where it's like, I can say it because I'm born Chinese, and it's like, no, that doesn't give you an excuse. But even still, just for clarification on this, and basically some of his tweets and all that, it has some really horrible things to say about China, about it. And then I think there was some anti-Korean statement, there was a bunch of derogatory terms and stuff and all that was being used about Korea and the Korean people, and alongside with a bunch of other stuff about all kind of like parts of like China and that kind of part of like Asia. Then after this explodes. This ends up with him apologizing, like, you know, trying to take it all back. This leads down to the point where the actual voice actors hear about this and they just fucking resign. They are like, nope, not dealing with this. Where like the guy that was doing the main character quit. Same thing could be said for like all the other main cast of characters where they're like, we want nothing to do with this. We quit. We're not doing anything of that. Whereas like, it's the studio's fault anyway for kind of thinking about that, where it's like, no, we didn't really properly think about this. Two, I'm in the scenarios like the studio itself shouldn't have been interested in it, but they were like, oh, you know, they read the first pages where it's like, oh, you know, this is like another isekai story. Oh, he just seems like a bad guy, but you know, there's some cute anime girls here. Like, you get through this shit. Which then you can kind of tell where this goes. This ends up with the entire anime itself being canned. Like, that's nuts to me. That is insane. You normally don't see that a lot of the times where it's just like, where a full-on anime just gets flat out cancelled. I know there was like one way back in the day that was getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and then it was like, nope, this is done. This is, we're just, and that was after years. It's been a while where I think this was supposed to be coming out like recent. I think this was supposed to be coming out in fall, around about like October time. Like, I think this was supposed to be then, and it's like, the fact that there's like, they were like, how anime production works, that they were probably a fair way into this. Like, they were probably already recording some stuff. They were already like good ways into it. Like, you got, like, with some people that don't know, it's like, you know, anime production works like, you know, it doesn't just, they don't just do a week and that's how you make an episode. No, it goes on for months and months and months, even a year, like, depending on like how busy like the studio schedule is. But yeah, no, this ended up with this guy going, all right, full on apology thing. He's now talking with like they're pretty much going to be like removing his volumes for the most part, where it's like they're going to be taking them out, and he's going to be going back to his to the people that publish his light novels and see if they can change the books in any way, where they can like retune them in any way, or it's like, can we make these less offensive? And it's like, oh my god, like, okay, one, I'm already in one opinion of this, because one, it shouldn't have been fucking allowed in the first place. Because here's the thing, like, it's not the fact that it's like about like a guy that's killing like 3,000 people during a war. We've got shows like this going on right now, Golden Kamuy, that takes place in the Japanese like Russo War. And guess what? That is an interesting and very like accurate. Like, the guy did his research for it, like, for this show. He actually put some time into like discovering the world. He shows some interesting thing, and also as well, he has some very well written characters through there, and some great little moments in there. And you like, he uses that period of time as a bit to help with like portray his story. This, like, from how it's being described, and obviously I'm not going to read the fucking light novel because I don't want to fucking waste my time on another like series on there, but I'm very curious to see what you guys on there. So like I said, this is probably going to be very infactual, but how it is being described to me is that this guy was an utter piece of fucking filth. But oh no, it's fine though, he gets the chance to be reborn as like an 18-year-old boy, and then he has a bunch of like harem girls all beside him. You know, it's that kind of shit. Like, the stuff that we see all the fucking time, where it's like, I get like that terrible fucking Death March show on there, like, or the rest of the stuff where it's like, oh no, I'm like a 20-year-old like businessman and all that, and I'm losing the will to live, but oh no, I got reincarnated as a young boy, like, and there's all a bunch of girls that seem to want the main protagonist dick. Like, you get this shit, like, you get this shit all over, and it's just like, it was the way how it's being portrayed. Not to mention, it's like, yeah, the guy's actual like Twitter didn't really help with him sounding like he sounds like a very derogative like piece of shit for the most part, and now he's trying to backpedal it. But then again, I'm kind of really curious about that, because like I said, it's been a while since I've seen something like this explode. The last time I saw was the director like for I believe MMO junkie that got into a lot of shit with like some of the horrific things that he said on his like Twitter. It's like it's been a while since I've seen something like that where it just kind of explodes into a scenario like this, and to see generally that it's like, wow, this is fucking insane that this even got a green light. This is not just the fault of like just this one guy. This is the fault of the company that even allowed this like kind of stuff to get into a light novel. This is the fault like to even get the fact that they looked at the anime studio and like, sure, we can do this. Like, why not? It's an isekai series. And again, it, like I said, how it is being described is sounding very tasteless compared to shows like Golden Kamuy, where it's like, no, it's using that as a great part of its storytelling, and it's like, let us show you what it is actually like in this war, or like, and showing that, yeah, this is a horrible time in history, and it's not more like, well, you murdered about 5,000 Chinese people, here you go, have your body back. It's you can see what I mean with this. Hopefully I'm like portraying myself with this one, but I'm very curious to see what you guys think. Comment section down below. What do you think about this whole anime being cancelled? And I am curious to see what the future of this guy is. Like, the fact if they're gonna actually like rework his entire light novels, or if they're just gonna let him go at this point. Because yeah, no, that's something on there. And who do you think really is to blame? Do you think it's the anime studio for even like greenlighting something like this? Do you think it's the guy himself who's really just with his tasteless version of like thinking like this is fine, or do you think it's the light novel studio that's like, yeah, no, we can work with this? And obviously there are probably worse versions of this that probably get green-lighted, or like there are a fact that it's like, we can get shit like this, but it just seems like a lot of people just wasn't paying attention, and now it's blown up into a shit show. So very curious to see and all that, like what you guys think. But that's all from me. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.